Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl Butler, and you're listening to the Mighty Mommies Quick and Dirty Tips podcast, which will help make your life as a parent a little bit easier and a lot more fun. Welcome! Today's episode is number 389, 6 strategies for dealing with an angry child, because it's no fun for anyone in the family to cope with angry outbursts. I recently received an email from a regular Mighty Mommy listener who was worn down from her 4-year-old son's emotional outbursts. It wasn't that he was a whiny kid or one who didn't follow directions well. It was something that she felt was much more difficult to handle: anger. She said that he'd be fine one moment, and then, almost out of nowhere, he'd be in a fit of angry rage. She wondered if there were any strategies that she could put into place to help him and the rest of the family deal with it. Dr. Dale Gross, a nationally recognized family child development and human behavior expert, explains that anger is built into the human psyche. It's a protective response against physical and emotional injury. Children in particular are vulnerable to their feelings until they develop coping skills that help them manage their emotions. Until then, anger is an instinctive defense for our children to use against physical and emotional pain. I've dealt with many angry children while raising my 8 kids. In fact, one of my sons had a much more angry personality than the rest. So here are Mighty Mommy's best tips for dealing with anger. Strategy number 1, stay calm. Although it might be your first reaction when you're dealing with a child having an explosive outburst, don't let yourself get all riled up and yell back at him. Kids feed off of emotional atmospheres around them, so if your angry child sees you reacting in anger, you'll just keep that heated momentum going. The best thing that you can do is remain calm and don't challenge your child when he's angry. When one of my kids is pushing my buttons or doing something that I find completely unacceptable, I count to 10, sometimes a lot more, and I talk to myself in the process. Stay calm and in control, I tell myself. By taking a few seconds to step away from my child's poor behavior and get my own feelings in check, I can usually shift from being frustrated and ready to lash out to a reasonable state where I can handle my child's situation without losing my composure. When you work to manage your own behavior first, you effectively neutralize the power struggle. As an added bonus, when you get yourself under control, your kids will also usually calm down. Remember, calm is contagious, and so is anxiety. When we as parents are nervous or anxious, it creates anxiety in our kids, so remain calm. Strategy number 2, act. Don't react. When you witness defiant behavior from your child, don't get angry and lose your temper. Instead, take a step back and calmly tell your child that you don't approve of the behavior and that you'll handle it at a later time. This will raise fear in your child's mind because he'll have time to think about the poor actions and the potential consequences. Not only are you using the time to calm yourself down, but you're also teaching your kids how to do the same. Strategy number 3, step away. When things with your child are falling apart and chaos is brewing at a fast pace, it can be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to turn back the tide. Peace may not be an option due to external factors such as angry voices, dogs barking, TVs blasting in the background, and maybe even your spouse or other children are chiming their 2 cents in to stoke the fire. When your surrounding atmosphere is just as disruptive as your child's behavior, sometimes the best medicine is to simply walk away. My kids are used to me chanting one of my favorite responses when the going gets tough, and that's, step away and no one gets hurt. I try to say this with a bit of sarcastic humor, but in our house, it means that Mom's going to take a quick breather and go someplace to be alone and quiet while I refocus. Silence is often just the thing that we need to replenish and rejuvenate ourselves, and yet it may be the hardest to make happen. But if you get into the habit of breaking away for a brief respite, You'll be helping yourself and teaching your kids a lifelong coping skill as well. Note, I always tell my kids, I'll be back in 5 minutes, so the younger ones know what to expect. I don't want them to think that I'm running away. I'm just taking a little break in the action. Strategy number 4, role model appropriate responses. Kids are always observing their environment, including how their peers interact with them, what kind of mood their teacher is in, and certainly how their parents and caregivers behave and respond to life's daily, minor challenges like getting stuck in traffic, as well as the bigger crises that families face, such as a parent losing a job. No matter what the situation is, our kids are quietly absorbing how the world around them works and how the people in their life respond to these situations. That's why it's so important to take any opportunity, such as when you as a parent are feeling frustrated and angry, to role model appropriate ways to respond to these types of incidents. So for instance, if you're out to dinner and you're having a bad experience with your waitress not getting any of the order correct, you can say something like, "Gee, I'm starting to feel very frustrated with our service in this restaurant, but it looks like the place is really extra busy tonight. So maybe our waitress just can't keep up with all the demands. I'm going to take a quick walk to the bathroom so I can quickly clear my mind because I don't want to get angry with her and say something rude, especially if this bad service isn't really her fault." Admitting that you're angry and losing your patience and you need some time to calm down shows your kids that you're human too and teaches them a coping skill on managing their own anger. Strategy number 5, take a silly break. One tip that worked really well for our family when my son would have an angry outburst was to ignore the anger and respond with something really silly. One afternoon when he was about 3 years old, he was quietly playing with his trucks in the yard and was trying to park them all under one tree. Well, there wasn't enough room under this particular tree for his 15 or so trucks. By the 7th or 8th truck, he began getting really frustrated because he realized it wasn't going to work. By the time he got to the 11th truck, he was having a complete angry meltdown and didn't want to hear anything from anyone about searching for another solution, such as a bigger tree to park the trucks under. Rather than try and reason with an irate preschooler, I got down on my knees next to the trucks that had no parking space, and I began singing a goofy song and then pretended I was going to park them in the bird bath for a car wash. He looked at me for a few very long seconds, and then he started to laugh. Next thing I know, almost every truck was pulling up to our now makeshift car wash, and we started giving them pretend baths near the bird bath. This simple act of silliness diffused the angry outburst that he was having and actually added an extra half hour of playtime to our schedule because now he had something new to do with his trucks. With 8 kids, many who are now in college or teenagers, I'm still known to interrupt one of their very foul moods with some silly tactics such as putting on a ridiculous hat and going out on the front lawn to check the flower beds. Oh, the embarrassment for them. Strategy number 6, always build on the positive. Make sure that you build on the positive attitudes and actions of your children. Praise your children for their positive behaviors while rewarding them when they show a cooperative attitude. Positive reinforcement can go a long way in raising a responsible, happy child. How do you handle your child's angry outbursts? Share your thoughts in the comments section at quickanddirtytips.com/mighty-mommy or post your ideas on the Mighty Mommy Facebook page. You can also connect with me on Twitter at Mighty Mommy or email me at mommy@quickanddirtytips.com. And please visit my family-friendly boards at pinterest.com/mightymommyqdt. Wishing you and your family a stress-free, happy week. Thanks for listening, everyone. And until next time, happy parenting.